Hi there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt and navigate a period of lower than normal income. It's been about 10 days since my last video, according to my stats on whatever, and in those past 10 days, I still signed off sick. We've had lots of hospital appointments, lots of back and forth, lots of blood tests, lots of discussions with doctors, and good news is I have received a diagnosis as to why my asthma, my lung capacity, abnormally high levels of fatigue associated with that, why that was the case, why things weren't improving. And I don't really want to say too much more on that at that point, but last week it just meant that there wasn't really the opportunity to sit down and look at a video and film a video and think about money. It was just, I think in that period, I've had like 2 days, 2 out of the 10 days, where I wasn't at a doctor's or wasn't at like a hospital. And that's because those 2 days were Sundays. But it has kind of resulted in me not picking up my budget and not really paying attention to what I need to pay attention to financially. It means that all of March I'm going to be on half pay, and as a result of the Easter holidays, I'm unlikely to be returning to work before the Easter holidays for that 1 week, and therefore I will have to be signed off sick and therefore be on half pay for 3 weeks out of 4 at the minute for April. So obviously that's a financial knock, and it's a financial knock. I mean, this is literally, I've put this on top of this because that was the last video I filmed and released, and I've not sat at this desk since. The video to start with today is kind of a 2-week budget reconciliation so far, so kind of like a mid-month budget check-in, especially now that I know that I'm not going to be at work for the entirety of March. So this is for the weeks encompassing the 3rd to the 9th of March, and then the 10th to the 16th of March, and I'm currently filming on Wednesday the 19th and releasing today as well. So what I'll then do is do a probably end of month budget reconciliation to try and cover the 2 weeks, and then I'm going to have a kind of just a bit of a free-flowing chat with you in this video after I've done that about obviously the increased costs that are coming my way due to just general price rises, and also how the destashing and selling has been going. Case in point, not done much of it over the past 10 days. And what the plan needs to be for that going forward, with obviously the half pay element involved as well. So the first week, had doctor's appointments, had car boot sales. I then had many more doctor's appointments in there as well. So I did forget to add on my car tax into this here. So total income, you'll have seen this when I prepped the budget for the month. I was vinted aggressive on that first week, and I did try to cross list on eBay. Turns out that was a bit of a fruitless effort, and I've not done so much of a pantry cookout this week just gone, week 2, because I was back and forwarding a lot, and I didn't really have at the time the brain cells to just go ahead and plan and organise that. But that does mean that I can carry that forward slightly into April as well. My total income was £1,875.81 for that week, and then my bills, not including the car tax because that's just going to appear in week 2, was £1,029 with a rollover of £846.81. Nothing to savings, nothing to debt. And in terms of the weekly breakdown, you would have seen that I had already made a payment of £146.50 for cat food. So that's a bulk buy, and that will cover 3 to 4 months. It's something like 15 weeks. So that there. Fuel was a bit lighter in this first week. I wasn't doing so much, so £10.81, and that's just trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep the tank at like half full. Realistically, what I probably need to do is fill it all the way up, but I'm just avoiding doing that at the moment. Food was £33.07, personal spending £27, household, so things like toiletry and cleaning products, was £8, and then preps, which was the batteries, was £12.50, and that's a larger than normal amount than I actually need, and I've put the rest away to store. So total expenditure of £237.88 and a rollover of £608.93. Now, I was busy this first week. I was like, right, I think at this point, I was like, I'm totally going to be back at work. I'm going to ignore all of the other things going on, and I'm just going to like dive headfirst into listing. So that's what I did. And then I had the series of doctor's appointments throughout that week that then slightly derailed week 2. So much so that week 2 didn't have a focus. I was just bouncing between doctors and blood tests and nurses and hospitals and things moving very, very quickly. So much so that I didn't actually reconcile at all my expenditure for my fixed expenses. So therefore my rollover itself is incorrect. Car insurance came out £56.75, and then the car tax that was in week 1 I've just slotted in here at £16.66. Cat meds, so one of 2 heart meds, was £32.51. My fuel was £25, and it just tells you how not on the ball I was. This is something you don't really ever see. If I've ever taken out a free trial for something, I normally remember to cancel it, because I learnt the hard way in the past that it costs you money if you don't. And I had taken out a free trial for Equifax. It'd been my debt relief order had obviously ended as of December 2024, and I wanted to kind of see where my credit report was sitting without me doing much work to it at all, what debts I had that were or were not appearing on my credit report, and what was the state of play there. And it's the first time I've ever pulled my credit report in like 7 or 8 years. Certainly not since the debt relief order was put on, because there was just no point. That was my intention, and obviously forgot to cancel it. So cancelled it once I was charged. So I was charged $29.99 for that. And then just personal spending. I just emotionally spent this last week, and no whys, wherefores or buts about it. If you've had medically the week I've had, then yeah. I just spent £121. Food was £58.17. Again, not a lot of planning, a lot of back and forthing, a lot of picking food up on the go and waiting around for things. So bit higher that week. Toiletry household £4.50, and then medical, because in the words of my GP, if I prescribe you this thing which is over the counter, I'm going to get a massive telling off, and I have a prepayment certificate. If I didn't have a prepayment certificate, I'd be spending about £100 a month on prescription medication. He was like, just get it over the counter. So £18.25 for a few months of whatever that medication is. So I'm going in with a rollover. It's not a rollover of £319.51. It is a rollover of £246.41. No, £246.10. So my focus going into week 3 has been let's getting back to Vinted. That did not happen yesterday, and I struggled with it a little bit on Monday. I'm adapting to medication, and it's just causing some issues at the minute, and that will be normal for a bit. So like I said, the mind is willing and the body is not so with me at the moment, but that's like I've got to work around it, and it has got to be done, because me being on half pay means that yes, I will have a smaller pension contribution, I will have a smaller national insurance and tax deduction, but ultimately I think I'm going to be losing about £500 to £600 off my wages thereabouts at the end of March. So I do need to start faffing around basically and get some money in. I have cancelled the care cut at £135, and I have moved Bowie's blood tests to April to take out of those wages there. In the meantime, anything I do from a listing and selling perspective, beyond a couple of things that are due to come through, obviously I do have a YouTube payment coming in, I think around here. I don't want to touch that for putting forward to April. I want to try and use it for my birthday. Just so I can try and do something. I've got a friend coming to stay this weekend, and it would be nice if I could take that and just have that. The stuff I did emotionally spend, I am relisting a lot of it anyway, because it was an emotional spend. I don't need it, and realistically I don't think I wanted it, but it was a really good way of just like covering the anxiety and the uncertainty and the upset that I've had like over the past few days. So I will get my money back for that in some form or another further down the line. We're sitting here in terms of like implications long term, and the seriousness of like health and what it's doing, obviously I'm going to be down income in March. I'm going to be down in income in April. I have to get back to work, whether I'm well enough or not. And I'm probably delaying my recovery because I'm on half pay by needing to direct effort and energy and time and attention to listing and to sorting stuff like that out, regardless of whether I want to or feel like it or not. Rather than directing my energy and efforts into kind of recovering and building up those energy banks, so to speak, there. So it's a bit of a catch-22 I'm in. Make it make sense. We can't. So I have cancelled the haircut at £135. I just can't be doing it. I'll grab some box dye and I'll let it grow for a bit more. So I'll dye my hair. 20 quid on box dye, because I'll probably need 2 lots for how long and thick my hair is certainly a lot cheaper. And I'll just book a cut at some point again when I'm back to earning at full value. In terms of bills going up, now I know that my bring you back to my income analysis, and we're going to have a little bit of a scribble and a bit of a free-flowing chat. So I know that my water rates have gone up. Mine have gone up by £8 per week. Thank you ever so much. And I suspect that's because I've obviously had increased usage where I've been at home. In there, and my water provider like us to pay a year in advance because they're just... I can't say the word, I'll get demonetized. Energy, we've had the discussion that I am significantly underpaying my energy. I need to pay more, beyond obviously what they want me to pay. Yeah, okay, next. And the £158 isn't going to come due, I don't think, until... in terms of council tax per month, I don't think that's going to appear until possibly my end of May, June income. So that shouldn't have an impact on my lower income for March or April, possibly May. My Wi-Fi is going up by £3. My mobile is going up by £1.87. No changes to my cloud. Prime, I'm toying with cancelling this because I have obviously used it a bit more being home, but I don't really use it every month. And I've kind of gone through and looked at what I've bought and gone, is it just worth paying for on a as and when I use it basis? So there are some things off there it's worth me getting, just because it's logistically quite difficult for me to get hold of where I live. But what I'll probably do is, going forward, just pay for Prime as and when I use it on a month-by-month basis. I certainly don't use it from a Prime Video perspective either. And sadly, you can't just cancel the Prime Video and get like a lower package, which is what you used to be able to do. Spotify and YouTube. Someone mentioned obviously YouTube Music within the YouTube Premium. I did try that in the past and I really struggled I found I really struggled with the user interface, and I know that's a luxury thing for me to say, but someone with a brain like mine, like that's a bigger issue than someone who has a neurotypical brain manages. But I have gone without Spotify and YouTube Premium in the past. I have cancelled them when needs must, so it is what it is. Car tax can't do anything about. Car insurance is staying as is for now, and contents insurance is something I would like to bring in. I am less than a calendar month away now from a rental inspection, and therefore am I going to be staying in my house or not? Do they want to renew that? Is my rent going up? I have started to look, and it's not because I want to move, because moving is not as simple as just move somewhere and pay less in rent, because you have significant upfront costs, which on potentially at the minute 2 months worth of half pay, as in full half pay. I can't just magic the money out of nowhere, because I'm trying to plug the gap for my normal income, not plug the gap plus put savings aside. So I have been resisting the sell so much that the cat thinks he's next. I'm not selling the cat. And I'm also, Bowie is a significant cost to my monthly income. It's what I signed up for and agreed to. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when I had to make a decision, was I going to keep him with me or not? Or was that going to be him going over the Rainbow Bridge? And I will have whatever time I have with him. It won't be as long as it would have been if he were fully healthy. So I'm aware that a significant amount of my flexible income that could be going to debt or savings or increased bills is taken by him. But I'm a responsible owner. That's what I do. It's not for someone else to pay for, and it's for me to pay for until we're done. It doesn't make it any harder financially, and it doesn't mean that I get horrendously upset when I pay out so much for medication and so much for food that he just goes on, I'm not eating that dismissive train. And that really does upset me, because financially I literally throw that money in the bin every time he refuses to eat a bowl of medicated food. He's literally throwing money away. But I am going to have to, I think, go down the whole route of sell so much the cat thinks he's next. And that's including, I think, possibly furniture, nicer items as well that I was resisting selling. And I think that ultimately I can always buy those things back. But right now, like balls to the wall, I can't afford to. I have got 2 months where I need to make up at least £1,000 just to get my income back to where it was. And that's not potentially including anything that pops up in the meantime that I want to do in the meantime. And, potentially have to cover the costs of a move in the meantime, which conservatively speaking is potentially a £3,000 cost at this stage. Just looking at cost of moving, cost of first month's rent and deposit and stuff like that as well. And with luck, that won't happen, but it's a conversation that we need to have. So I've financially put myself in a little bit of a pickle like this week here by not listing and not really putting effort and attention in there. But it was something where my health literally had to come first, and it was getting phone calls from GPs at like 3:30 in the afternoon going, we've got you in here, you need to go along to this surgery, to this clinic, to this phlebotomist, and then we're going to send you in over here, because I am really lucky. We've got a couple of like cottage rural hospitals that still do x-rays, still do scans, still do all of these things, and it does mean that you avoid going to the major hospital as much as possible. And that's because sometimes blood tests do things and show you things that you don't want to see and make medical people a little bit worried. So that's where we're at. Sitting here as we are now, I have had retroactively a good morning. My medication completely wiped me out yesterday. I was asleep for most of the day. And Monday was just me trying to get my head around, I'm not back at work. What does that mean? Where am I up to with kind of cover work and stuff like that? Just trying to touch base with people. The plan for the rest of the week, my mum and dad are coming over. They're going to do my housework and my garden for me, because at the minute that task is taken from me. Long term, can't afford for that to be the case. It's something I'm going to have to, strenuous activities I'm going to have to build back in. And then, like I said, I've got a friend visiting here. So it would be nice if I could kind of have a quote unquote normal weekend with a friend, like going to like the local town and visiting like the local craft fair and stuff. Whether I spend anything or not is a different matter, but I want to try and hopefully take my YouTube money and just try and pretend that I am normal and healthy and like everything's fine for a couple of days. This then next week, my birthday is the 25th of March. I have no plans for that at the minute. Realistically, I would have been working. I also don't really want to do anything. I don't want to go out for a meal, which my family have said they'll pay for. I don't want to do anything like that. And as horrible as it sounds, I would much rather someone give me the cash. Like, to do that, it won't really be a full family outing. And I'm probably sounding really cruel here. I don't want that money spent on that. The cash would make my life a lot easier right now than going out for a meal with the incomplete family members. Which is a conversation I will have with the said parents, but ultimately, if that's what they want to spend their money on, then fine. But I just won't partake in it. In a horrible way, I'm kind of going to be like cash or nothing, because I don't really feel like getting dressed up and going out for a meal. I don't really feel like going and doing those things. Buy me a nice cake if you must, but I don't want to. Yeah, that's where I am with it. Trying to balance the mental health side of this as well has been really hard. Because things have been like a bit like life-changing, and that word is really overused. And I'm trying to like keep going and not let like the mental health slide, because I need to be on top of things there. So the smartest thing to do last week was to take a break from filming. And even if I want to take a break this week, I can't, because I do need to make sure that I hit the revenue payout for April, because YouTube now needs to form part of the extra income, regardless of how I'm feeling or anything else that's going on. So the plan coming up, I can't do anything about like cost increases. I've got food in. I'm just going to have a drink, sorry. I'm going to have a nice normal weekend with my friend where I pretend everything is fine. And I'm going to take that YouTube payment that I've accrued through January and February, so it's a combined payout. I'm going to take that and I'm going to pretend that's like a normal weekend and everything is fine financially. Tomorrow I've got family coming over to kind of get like reset my house for me. This afternoon, tomorrow, Friday, it's going to be me trying to figure out and list, what do I have, what's the plan for this, what margins do I need to meet, now that I know financially where things are. And then next week, so this weekend is kind of be like the bookmark, the bookend. And then next week it's balls to the wall, get some money in and accruing, proper money in and accruing, not like £2 or £3 here or there, through Vinted sales and stuff. Hit Facebook Marketplace hard and just really go for it. Get that done, and then develop a plan and what is the plan for April and move into that. I am potentially doing something social here with my sister for my birthday. It's something she's asked me to keep available. From a health perspective, we'll see where we're at. From a financial perspective, I'll see where we're at. But realistically, that could be the last opportunity for a couple of months where there is that window to do that. So if I can financially afford to, I will. And we will then go from there. That is where we stand. Halfway through March. Not too bad financially so far, emotional spending aside, and I'm just going to get rid of the stuff and resell it on if I can, and go from there. The link to my Shopify notanotherbudget.com is down below, where I have savings challenges and bundles available, and my Vinted because I know that I have curious Vinted followers because I always sell weird and wonderful things on there. The link to my Vinted is down below as well. I'm having a massive bundle clear out at the minute of sewing patterns because I am swimming in them for anyone who is interested. Apart from that, Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic budgeting week wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye for now.